I'd been looking for some time in terms of a community project in my local area, and I came across BHI when they were advertising for board members. So at the time I applied to become just a regular board member, then after a couple of years I became the chair. So I was really interested in the way that BHI approached their sort of innovative and new ways of doing things in terms of the different communities that they were helping, and I was really passionate about health and reducing inequalities in education and social care as well.
And you talk a lot about community. Have you always wanted to be part of getting a better outcome in the community and working with it?
Definitely. So I think we sometimes forget that we're all part of our community and that there's so much that we can build together, that actually by coming together and sharing our resources, expertise and knowledge, that we can create a much more harmonised and much more equal society. There are so many different experiences that people have had, particularly over the last year, and I think it's important just to really harness all of the learning and the community spirit that we've developed, and that's something that I'm really passionate about.
And what programmes are you involved with and events are you involved with in working with BHI?
So as a chair I actually have oversight of all of the different programmes and activities. But we normally support the Black Music Festival, and I've also been assisting in terms of the fundraising activities that we've done this year, in particular around Support Our Seniors. So this is our one of our responses to COVID in terms of shifting our face-to-face events to online platforms, and Support Our Seniors has been around delivering items directly to people, whether that's hot food or essential items. So that again is just part of our rapid response that was literally came into being overnight. Once we realised what the restrictions would prevent us from doing, we had to shift all of our service delivery models. So that's been something that we're very proud of this year.
And has there been any further changes during the pandemic when it comes to BHI and working with seniors?
So we've not been able to see them face to face, but we've also developed the befriending service. And we've got a number of volunteers that actually make contact with them on a daily and weekly basis just to check in and make sure that they're okay. One thing that we found was that there were some gaps in terms of some of the services that weren't reaching some more vulnerable members of our community, and obviously through our networks and personal contacts we came to know that there were quite a number of people that needed our support, so we were able to raise funds and other pots of funding that were available. Because we reacted so quickly, we were one of the first services that was available at the time, so that really helped.
Perfect. And last but not least, where would you like to see BHI being taken in the future?
So in the future I think I'd really like us to do much more within the community, actually community-led initiatives, so actually what is it that the community are asking for, and working more with the funders and the different government bodies as well to actually change some of the policy. Particularly this year we've seen the health inequalities, they've existed for many years, but now it's really come to the forefront of people's minds, and there is a shift that's happening in terms of the Race and Health Observatory that's been established. So we'd like to work more in partnership with those people, and also the research bodies and the academics, and actually being involved more from that aspect of things. So that's something that we're looking forward to next year.
So how did you first hear about BHI?
Oh gosh, BHI, well they used to be based on Chopper Town Road, and because I live in the area, so you walk past and you hear them, and it's Black Health Initiative. So anything to do with black health or supporting the black community, my ears kind of prick up, and that's how I heard about them. And then I had friends who worked for them and did work with them. And also they have a good following on Twitter and Facebook, so they always come up on my newsfeed on Twitter.
Yeah, no problem. So what made you get into the dementia programme?
Well, my mum herself has been diagnosed as vascular dementia, and I've had relatives that have suffered from dementia. So I was very keen to get involved in that, so it's something that's close to my heart, and I know they do supporting their seniors, so they do a lot of work with the senior members. And I'm quite family orientated, so the seniors are quite important because that generation, they have so many stories and tales, so anything to do with supporting them I feel strongly about, and if I can get on board, I get on board.
Absolutely perfect. And where would you like to see BHI in the future?
BHI in the future? Oh gosh, that's a hard question. I'd like to see it still serving the community, but I'd also like to see it more mainstream. and more of a following and more out there in the limelight, because the work that they do behind the scenes is quite important, and it's kind of like the people who are nearby know about it, but I think it needs to go further and more people need to hear about it.
Well, the way we got introduced to BHI is through a family friend. They knew what we were going through at the time with Mum not feeling too well, and they asked us to get in touch with BHI. So what I did, I looked up BHI's details, and I saw that they had an email address, and I emailed BHI, and a young lady got back to me quite quickly actually. So they were very responsive and very quick with the response. And then I filled in the application form for Mum, totally explained what was happening, and once again the response was very quick, and I was very impressed because we needed that support for Mum, because she just been recently diagnosed with vascular dementia. So we needed extra support because there's myself and my niece, which is Mum's granddaughter, that live here. But Mum needed that extra support, and we thought, well, how are we going to care for Mum, cook the food and everything else? And then when I got in touch with BHI, they said that they deliver on a Wednesday and Friday. And I said to myself, absolutely perfect. So we needed to set up a care plan for Mum that was about Mum and around Mum. So we've got the carers coming in 4 times a day. We've got BHI supplying food on a Wednesday and Friday. That eases some of the pressure on Danica and myself, especially for working full time. So BHI has been an absolute godsend. What I like is that they ring you the day before they're going to deliver the food. So they ring on a Tuesday and Thursday, and the food gets delivered on a Wednesday and Friday. And everybody that comes to the door to drop off the food and everything else, they're professional, it's always timely, and it's all... Mum has said to me that she actually loves the food, so that's even more of a blessing. And I'll tell you one thing as well, there was one day when a bag of hard food got delivered with the food, and I thought to myself, that means I need to make some soup for Mum. So basically, you know, through them being regular with what they do and supply food for Mum, it supported us, but mainly supported Mum. And Mum, since coming out of hospital as well and getting the food deliveries, she's actually bounced back into life. So it just shows you how it takes a community to support and help an individual, and BHI has been an absolute godsend. So the way I want to see BHI prosper and move forward is by providing more services for more people that are possibly on their own and or with family that need that additional support, help, and need that communication as well, because during lockdown there's a lot of people that are isolated. Mum's not being able to go to church, she's not been able to go to women's fellowship, she's been stuck in the house. But what we've managed to do is create a care plan around Mum that supports Mum, and we're bringing the community to Mum, and BHI has been part of that. So I'd like to thank BHI for the regular food deliveries. I'd like to thank all the volunteers, all the people in the kitchens, all the management staff, even you guys that go around and do the filming, everyone associated and that support BHI. Thank you for everything that you do, and I know that we'll be making a donation to BHI in order to see that the services continue for a long time to come.
How are you finding the food from BHI?
You sent me some very good meals, and they are very tasty and nice.
So how did you hear about BHI?
BHI, I heard through my mom, to be honest. Yeah, she worked as a volunteer there for I think about 2 years, and then after that, while just working other places, then she was talking about BHI. There's been a couple of opportunities for me to work there doing other stuff. I've worked for them doing the Fusion Cafe, that was at Regional Centre as well. So yeah, that's originally it was through my mum. Yeah.
And why do you want to get involved with the work that they do?
Because I know that it helps the community, and it will better the community. It helps the elders as well in the community. Like I've grown up around elders like the majority of my life, So doing that for the community, for the elders of the community, is something that I just wanted to get involved in as well. Yeah.
And in the future, what direction would you like to see BHI?
I would like to see more recognition for the stuff that they do. So I think that they do a lot, and some of it kind of just goes unseen or unheard of. So yeah, more recognition. They're doing a lot, and the stuff that they are doing is great. So yeah, to be recognised more for what they're doing.
So how did you first find out about BHI?
Well, Bridget and Heather approached me when they've got the Black Music Festival, which they're a big part of. Wanted me to volunteer to help out with the stalls, and they asked me would I mind doing that. I said no, it'd be a pleasure, no. And that's how I heard about BHI, and I heard about the things that they were doing in the community with the Black Health Initiative, for the Black elders and the community, and I thought it'd be nice to get involved with that and do something for the community that I've grown up all my life.
Can you tell us a bit about the work that you actually do for BHI?
Well, at this present moment in time, we're doing a lot of things for the elders in the community, especially with the corona at this present moment in time. We want to make sure that they get a substantial meal at least 2 times throughout the week. So we do, make sure they get this substantial, like the 5 a day. So we give them the veg, some meat, some fish, some rice, and vegetables, making sure that they get a really nice meal throughout the week and throughout the corona.
Where would you like to see BHI going in the future?
I'd like to see BHI getting the recognition what they deserve, because they do a lot for the community, they do a lot for the elders, and they try to put our area on the map and get people out there, making sure they're getting the health checks. Because there's one thing about our cultures, when it comes, especially the men, when it comes down to going to the doctors, we're shy of all that. We say that we're fine, but really we need to have that checkup. And I think they're putting that forward, making sure that people at my age, at 50, make sure they get the health checks, and the elders make sure they get the health checks and everything as well. And I think that needs to be done in the community, and I think what they're doing is really good. I think it needs to be pushed forward and get recognition for it.
Bryce, how did you first find out about BHI?
Well, I was choreographing a fashion show for Leeds Fashion Week, and BHI had a table there. There was many different tables, different organisations, and BHI was one of the tables that was there. And I noticed everybody was gravitating to this particular table, and I went to go and have a look for myself, and there was somebody that I knew, which was Heather Nelson, and I made some inquiries what it was about, and yeah, that was the first time that I ever heard about BHI, and it looked positive, and everything they were saying made sense, and I thought it was a fantastic thing for the community.
No problem. And what made you want to actually get involved with the work?
I love to give back to my community anyway, so any opportunity like that comes up, I would definitely do that. But obviously I found some contacts about food banks and things like that, and I knew BHI was helping the community with the problems at the moment of people not eating well and the pandemic and things like that, so I thought I would give the contact to BHI. As I was there, it came up as a suggestion, would I like to be a befriender? And I said yeah, jumped at the opportunity to do so.
And about being a befriender, what does that entail?
It entails me supporting individuals with who's got emotionally, who's distressed, maybe have disabilities, giving back to the community. Maybe they can't go shopping for themselves. At our week, sitting down, having a chat about anything, a good old chinwag, to maybe making a cup of tea, having a conversation about whatever's on their mind, and making them know that somebody cares for them and cares about them, and is thinking about them. So I mean, it works both ways. I feel absolutely fantastic doing it, and they feel good speaking, seeing, and knowing that someone cares about them.
Where would you like to see BHI being taken to in the future? What progression would you like to see?
That's a good question. I mean, they're doing a fantastic job, but I would like basically to see maybe worldwide recognition, maybe start from different cities in England. They're in Leeds at the moment, maybe branch out to bigger cities like London and Birmingham and Leicester, and make people know that there is people out here who are thinking about Black Health Initiative, and then maybe go worldwide to the States or something like that. It would be absolutely amazing, an achievement and a half, which I do believe BHI can do.
So the partnership with BHI came about this year. After lockdown, we were unable to actually do anything within the business at Boom Chicka Boom, obviously because we deal with events which were not allowed. So BHI kind of gave us a bit of a lifeline to do a summer school. We were able to create the summer school as long as it was socially distanced for the children, and we made it COVID safe. They would be able to fund the project and make it free for the children to actually take part. So during the summer programme, one of our main things was to sort of reintroduce children to actually being around other children and being around other adults, because they'd been staying at home for months and months and months and not had that interaction. Another one of the main things that we wanted to approach was everything that was going on in 2020 after obviously the George Floyd incident, moving on to the Black Lives Matter movement. It was something that children knew what was going on, but they'd maybe not actually discussed that. And I found it personally that I didn't want to discuss the negative. I felt like the way that the children could actually sort of get through this moment was to actually just fill them with as much confidence and as much knowledge as possible. So for example, each day the children had a hero of the day, whether that be from Black history or Black present. And so they had somebody to look up to and run home and tell everybody about, and they shared that, which was really, really lovely to see. So they were equipped with the knowledge and power that if they were ever face to face with a situation, they would be able to deal with it accordingly. This project in particular, I really, really loved. Not only, you know, the staff walked away every single day with a smile on their face, the children did as well. We had tears on the last day because children didn't want to leave. The impact that it had on the children was huge, as well as on us. We were learning with them along the way, which was amazing. And we're constantly being asked, when are you going to do another one? When are you going to do another one? So I would love to be able to work with BHI again on this project and expand it even further. We were limited to the numbers due to social distancing, but this is a project that I think could be spread across Leeds in multiple venues and work really, really well.
As the CEO of a charity, how's it been running it through these unprecedented times?
It's been challenging. A lot of our funding had either halved or had been pulled back. A lot of our work is really around addressing social isolation and group activities. And because of the pandemic, it's been the opposite. So, you know, we're looking at social distancing, lockdown, etc. So, for instance, we have a luncheon club and we had to close that, but we changed that into delivering meals. And that started off as only 25 meals per day, and we ended up delivering 100 meals per day. So you can see that it had grown, and we believe it grew because many people, although they were at home and may have got the emergency food packages, the elderly weren't always able to make their own meals or nutritional meals. And if you were suffering from or living with conditions like dementia, Alzheimer's, it's pretty dangerous to actually be cooking or preparing meals yourself. Other aspects have meant that we've had to adapt the way we work. For instance, the youth provisions that we have very much now are online, which is good for them because young people, you know, they have all the social media platforms, they're aware of how to log in, log out, that kind of stuff. And so we've been able to continue some of the work that we do with them, which is really good. And the other bits of work, well, what we've been doing is doing webinars so people can come into the Zoom meetings and conferences and learn more about cancers, diabetes, sickle cell, etc. So it's really meant for us that we've adapted all our services to meet the needs of those that we serve and make sure that we continue to narrow the disparities rather than saying we can't work like this and move away. That's what we've been doing operationally. Strategically, we've just been very much involved in what's been happening with the city. So in regards to volunteers, we've been so overwhelmed with the way the communities have come together and actually volunteered to do the deliveries, to do the packing of the emergency packs. We've had GoFundMe campaigns, people donating not just goods but donating money as well, which has helped us because, like I said, a lot of our funding had ceased. But just to talk a little bit about the funding, we have been very successful in being able to attract money that has covered us regarding the COVID-19 and how it's impacted negatively on what people call the BAME community. I don't like that term. I like to say it's diverse communities, and those who have been told that they're going to be disproportionately affected by that. So we've been successful with the funding from a number of bodies, which you'll see after. So yeah, it's been different.
Yeah, no problem. Is there anyone that you'd like to add?
I think for us, we really need to thank those who have funded and supported our campaigns. Without them, BHI would not have been able to support those that are most vulnerable. This time of year is Christmas, time to celebrate families, etc. We do know that there's large campaigns out there that are giving out gifts, but the beauty of BHI is that we actually reach those that others often deem hard to reach or they don't engage with. So those particular families won't be left without presents, food or a Christmas meal. BHI will be doing that. So I need to thank those who have supported us from the community and within the community. I'd like to thank those who have sponsored some of our work, and also the funders who have supported the ideas, which have often been quite innovative to address some of the issues, i.e. mental health, and using music provision, which we have, to actually help people express themselves in a way that normal or everyday mental health services don't do. So yeah, we are very, under these circumstances, we are very thankful for the support which has enabled us to continue going.
Yeah, that's great. And what is the plan for the future?
Right, people always ask this, don't they? What's the plan for the future? If you'd have asked me this last year, I would not have thought we'd have been planning this year for a pandemic or how to work within it. So for me, next year, again, we've been successful in getting some resilience funding, which has helped us to be able to sit down and strategise, is to look at how BHI works in the future. Can we take some of the learning of how we've adapted this year so that we can do it next year? i.e. Black Music Festival, we successfully streamed that festival. Is it something that we should do in future? You know, should we have it live and stream it at the same time? Should we have some of our provisions online so that people can come in if they don't want to physically be with us? It's very much about adapting, making sure that we are adaptable as possible for any kind of other circumstances, and making sure that we are able to be successful in either the commissioning bids that we put in or the funding bids to support the very much needed work that we not only do but continue to do through the challenges.
So how has it been managing and putting on the events that you have done during the pandemic?
I think we've done really well, at the risk of sounding like we're giving our own praise. But for instance, we have the Legacy Awards that has grown rapidly in the last 4 years of its existence. And we felt we needed to still have that awards ceremony because of what it means to the communities and to the Leeds City region, which is to shine a spotlight on those from the Black communities who have excelled, not just within their field, but the impact within the city, nationally and in some cases internationally. And we followed the COVID rules and worked very closely with Leeds City Council to ensure that we met the guidelines, and we still had Legacy Awards. We reduced the numbers from 300 to 50, and you know, we still kind of dressed up the town hall, and it was still a very glam event, but a very safe one at that. And we streamed that as well, and we had 7.5 views on the night. That's 1,000, by the way, not just 7.5 people, but 7,500, which is fantastic, bigger than what we've reached before because we've never streamed. So that's something for us to think about again in the future. In regards to Black Music Festival, we again streamed that, so we had the artists at different times going to the studio, and we worked again fully compliant and and we streamed that a week or two after. And again, we reached online 10,500 views, and that was just online. We've never had an online presence before. So again, it's a learning that we can take forward into the future. And any other events that we've held, again, we've put online, we've streamed, and the views have been fantastic. So in essence, this has been a steep learning curve for us, but a successful learning curve as well. And I thank all the partners who have believed in us and supported what we've done. So IGA Studios, the City Council for events, the Arts at Leeds for still funding us during these challenging times, and anybody else that I may have inadvertently forgotten, but very much so needed their support, i.e. we have the Real Productions, which is our stage manager, and so many other partners that have made sure that we've been successful in what we do. And also those who have helped us put things online. For instance, we've had a young man called Manny Brown and his team who filmed the Legacy Awards and managed to get it out on time for us to view. So it's been fantastic that we've managed to do that.
How did you first hear about BHI?
I've known about BHI for years. When I worked in the voluntary sector, I was on the precursor to BHI, I was on the board. And then when it became the Black Health Initiative, I was approached by the Chief Exec, Heather Nelson, about rejoining. The organisation had a new focus, and so I was asked if I'd like to be involved. And I said yes.
Perfect. Could you tell us a bit about your role?
I'm currently the treasurer of BHI. I have been the treasurer for probably about 3-4 years now. So primarily I just tend to scrutinise over the figures. I used to look at the bank account and details, etc. Also support what they're doing around fundraising, looking at ways of increasing sponsorship, etc. I'm generally just supporting the chair and the chief exec.
Perfect. How has BHI been able to survive during the pandemic?
Well, surviving the pandemic is a question for so many organisations, and particularly for a third sector organisation like BHI. I admit I was worried when the pandemic hit. However, why was I worried? BHI does what it always does and rises through the flames. So for me, how it survived is, one, it continued to do what it does and put vulnerable people, particularly older people in the community first. They were one of the groups most affected. So rather than it kept its focus, although it changed its activities. So rather than thinking about feeding people through a cafeteria, we moved quickly onto home delivery services, volunteering. BHI also continued to have a place at the seat of lots of partners, the local authority, other organisations, other health-related organisations, who were all trying to navigate the way through what the pandemic meant. We had no experience of it before, what we could do and how it would affect other organisations. So the other thing that BHI didn't try to take over other organisations, but looked at where it could lend support and enable other organisations to keep going.
That's great. Could you tell us a bit about the GoFundMe campaign and the support house in seniors?
Well, what I know most about is the senior work. Because there's a lot of things that BHI are involved in. But for me, what I know most about it is really the personalised focus on local people, black people, older people, meeting their specific needs. There's lots of services out there that support the needs of older people, but that tailored niche service around recognising the culture, recognising the nuances and the differences that local older black people want and need to feel part of their community is critical, and that's what I think is our USP, and that's what BHI does particularly well.
Perfect. Finally, can you tell us where you'd like to see BHI in the future?
I think for me, BHI is and will continue to move into more of an umbrella kind of organisation. We are a charity and we continue to do frontline service delivery, but I see BHI going forward very much as a voice for other organisations. We've survived a lot of things, we've moved into different territories, so a lot of the activities that we do around music, events, etc., promoting messages around health but in a different way for a wider audience, to capture the audience. So I see BHI very much moving towards more of its collaborative role, bringing other organisations together, because we can't do everything that we need to do, and it's going to survive by bringing other smaller, in particular third sector organisations, but other partners together. And that's what I think is what BHI does already, but should continue to develop. So becoming that umbrella and leadership organisation.